There is a severe problem in the Fortnite competitive scene that no one seems to realise. And no, it's not scamming, the hacking problem, or account selling. The issue I'm going to talk to you guys about today is Fortnite esports teams. Today I'll talk to you about the three main parts of this problem. Let's take a deeper dive into the first part of this problem, which is unoriginality. Now, what do I mean by unoriginality? There is just no difference between most Fortnite esports teams. They've all basically got the same positions, which are GFX, VFX, content creator, and competitive player, and of course the academy roster. What I mean is that these are positions that you will see in absolutely every server. There is absolutely no originality. All of these positions are literally named the same thing. No one's putting in enough effort to even change the names of this. The most recent form of originality, which is basically just a spin-off on the academy teams, is the rising rosters. Examples of these are Fear, Summit, and JFT. This is quite literally the most original thing I've seen in quite a while, but it's still a very far step from what we need in the Fortnite competitive esports scene. There is also just too many orgs. The amount of self-promo channels just flooded with people promoting their organisation is absolutely crazy. Here's the logo of an esports team I was recently invited to join. Of course, it's not great, and we need to start taking more care of our esports team and putting a lot more effort into it. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with this if you just want to call yourself a clan and have some fun with friends. But if you actually want to grow and get a little bit of income from this esports team, you're gonna have to put in a lot more work. Realistically, you're gonna have to contact a graphic designer. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one to contact, but do a bit of research and find one to contact. It's going to help you out a lot and will make your thing seem a lot more professional and entice people so much more to join. Now, let's grab a quick Discord server example of one of these teams. First up, looking at this, there just isn't too much visual appeal. What I mean by this and what it causes the server to be is look quite unpolished, unfinished, and just really a bad job. Now, let's grab an example from my own personal team, Flawless. We see here that Flawless is the exact opposite. They use quite a lot of visual appeal on the different channels. They also have countless different banners that they use under things like requirements and rules and many other things. Because of their nitro level, they even have custom badges for team members and their roles. This is an example of a very well polished Discord server, and this is personally one of my favourites that I could find. Now, for the final section, let's look at a comparison of logos. An example of this is a team called Summit. Summit has an extremely original logo, which brings a lot of depth to their page. It's also quite minimalistic, and if I wanted to keep going on with all the details in Summit's logo and banner, I could. But I won't, so now let's look at the logo of a worst team. This is a team called Secret. We can tell that the logo hasn't had much effort put into it. Obviously, they've just used a font that they would call cool and put a little PNG on it. This, although I don't want to be mean, is not great. What they should have done here is just paid a graphic designer. If I had seen this exact video but with a different logo, I would actually feel a lot more entitled to join. But because of this, we can tell that it put really not much effort into it. We know that this is not a team we should be joining. So, for teams that are trying to improve, you need to get your logo set straight. When I'm looking for a team to join, one of the main things is looking for a good logo. That tells me that the esports team is actually trying to put some money and actually trying to invest in themselves and their future. This tells me the esports team will actually potentially grow to something and means that I could be a very viable part of the team. Enough of that though, let's move on to one of the darker parts of Fortnite esports. That is organisation scamming, unpaid members, and much, much more. An amazing example of this is the esports team known as Edgy. Edgy was a new esports team who entered the scene by signing a very large number of players in a very short amount of time. These actions were notoriously a sign that there was something fishy going on. Because of this, people started to look in further and they found this. A team member called Edgy Brando. Brando was missing half his agreed payment with Edgy and was suspiciously kicked for new ownership. False promises from Edgy led to missing payments for Brando. Then, their owner, NJW, supplied cheaters with firmware and paid to be carried in tournaments. A conversation with Fortnite player Sandman shows that MJW supplied a cheater named Hazard with cheats and firmware, then had him play an event with him where they earned $3,750 USD. One of the other things with this was them stealing social media posts. Of course, it's a lot smaller, but it's kind of stupid. Edgy's X was filled with unoriginal content stolen from other organisations, like Future Talent GG and also Summit, which was an esports team I talked about earlier. In a recent post, Edgy stole artwork from Snowball Time, hid all comments acknowledging this on the post. MJW was one of the owners of Edgy, who is primarily responsible for the signings of all their players. MJW is 14 years old and is said to get his money from his allowance from his parents. In the United States, it is illegal to contract someone under the age of 14. Most of that was taken from an X post by someone called Pandy. Although I don't really know him, I do know that he's quite reliable and that he's likely not just making this up. There was a lot of accusations about Edgy before Pandy made this tweet, so I fully believe that this is partially true. However, Edgy has apparently turned a new leaf. With new management and a lot of people now helping, I'm assuming they've probably gotten a lot better. NJW also recently left the esports team, so I'm assuming that they got quite a lot better. So, because of this, take this as a grain of salt. I cannot guarantee if Edgy was scamming their players or if they were making any of the practices that I mentioned earlier actually true, but I can say that this is one of the countless examples of Fortnite esports teams scamming their players. There was also a previous thing with a different team. Although I don't know the name, I'll link the video where Reese Hub exposed them down below. This is a great watch, and honestly, I love Reese, so go show him some love down below. Now we move on to one of the other problems with esports teams, or rather the problems they create. One of the main one of these is something called FOMO, or fear of missing out. What I mean by this is with everyone's favourite pro player being signed to teams and rosters, a lot of smaller people and small creators like myself get very worked up trying to get into a team. This basically allows small and crappy teams to get away with cutting corners on things like their logo and many other things such as investors. Through this, and with all the players wanting to join an esports team, it really creates a pretty toxic environment. Horrible esports teams get quite a lot of attention because of these worst players joining them. This gives them very large discord, but not much influence on anything in the actual game. You're unlikely to ever see their name on a leaderboard, so there's not really any reason for having them, which I know is kind of harsh, but realistically it's the truth. So, what's the solution to all of this, and what can Epic Games do to help? Well, the underlying factor of all of this is that Epic Games doesn't actually choose these esports teams particularly, or provide them any financial support. In games like Valorant, you can buy the team bundle, which directly supports them. However, in Fortnite, there's no way that Epic Games supports these teams, making it extremely hard to keep them running. So, what can Epic Games do that'll give us a solution? One of the solutions to this is Epic Games releasing something like a bundle with maybe a Jonesy skin, or something like what they've done with the FNCS skins, where it's still a normal skin, but in fact they've taken an aspect of Fortnite and added it to it. I'm sure they could do this very easily with many different organisations. Maybe as organisations work their way up the tiers, they could eventually receive a skin. Maybe for each tier of organisation, if Epic Games created a tier listing for organisations, you could unlock some sort of certain cosmetic that you could wear for that organisation. And if you're assigned to that organisation, maybe you could get a more exclusive jersey. That way, being tied to an organisation actually means something, and people don't just randomly leave and join again. One of the other options, which is probably a lot harder for Epic to do and would need a lot more money from them, would be literally just supporting these teams or doing something which I really, really like. Maybe Epic Games every, quarter of a year could pick out 30 different pro teams. Maybe this could be for every single region, but through that, those teams would receive a set amount of funding. This would allow them to sign players and maybe even create full squads full of players just in their team. I really like the idea of solo and CS because it really fosters the, relationship with organisations. You see different orgs going at it and different members of the same organisation going at it. Whereas in duos or trios, you can actually see quite a lot of players from the same organisation on the same team, like Cooper and Canada did last year, which was a team I really enjoyed to watch. One thing that holds Fortnite organisations back is that most of them don't really do a lot of content. You would get so much more revenue, even if it was through YouTube and you actually couldn't generate revenue through that, you would generate so much hype around your branding or organisation if you just uploaded quite a lot onto YouTube, like what Agent did. Agent back then was a huge household name in the Fortnite organisation scene. Yeah, it's because they had Peterbot, but it's because they did a huge amount of content, which really helped build their brand. But Epic Games is a multi-billion-dollar company. I'm sure they could work something out in collaboration with a bunch of organisations. But as I just said earlier, that's a great step in the right direction with those different skins and bundles, like what they've done in Valorant. Anyway guys, that has been the problem with Fortnite esports teams or organisations. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have enjoyed, please remember to like, subscribe down below to let me know that you do enjoy this type of content. Leave a comment about your favourite esports team and what Epic could do to combat the esports team crisis, and make sure to watch another video of mine. I'll probably link a couple, but again guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.